Hi, good evening, everyone, and thank you all for joining us today. We are hosting our virtual town hall chat about Wolf Creek Amphitheater. I am Councilwoman Carmelita Gums. I am the representative for District 2, and I am so glad that everyone is here today to join us. Our conversation today, I've been getting a lot of chatter about what's happening with Wolf Creek Amphitheater. And I thought it was important to bring the residents together with some of our city staff and our community engagement representatives to help us kind of engage some good dialogue about Wolf Creek Amphitheater. We will be releasing an RFP pretty soon. So I wanted to kind of engage the residents and get an idea of what you all are looking forward to with our amphitheater coming back into the city. So today, who's joining me is our city staff, which is Karen Smoot. She is all things Wolf Creek Amphitheater. You may have received some emails from her, but she has been guiding the process and helping us with project management in order for your requests and all of the good things that involve Wolf Creek Amphitheater. So she will be sharing with some updates, some processes and procedures that we're putting in place. And again, we wanted to hear from you. Also, too, we have Miss Erica Pines. She is with Sweet Tea Consulting. She is helping us with our engagement. You all have received a survey, and the survey link will be dropped all into the chat. So please, if you have not completed that or filled that out, please take the time to do so. It is our job to get feedback from you all. And again, wanting to hear from you all, the residents that live in the city of South Fulton and that will be utilizing the Wolf Creek Amphitheater. So Ms. Erica Pines will also be helping us guide our conversation and moderating the questions for this evening's chat. So at this point, I want to welcome these ladies. They're going to share a little bit about themselves. And then we're going to turn it over and we'll have discussion at first. So hold your questions. If you have questions, please type it in the chat. They will be scrolling across the screen. And towards the very end, we'll make sure that we answer your questions if we are unable to get to it during our discussion. So first, I would like to have Miss Karen Smoot introduce herself. And then Miss Smoot, you can turn it over to Miss Pines and she will introduce herself and begin our moderate.
Awesome. So it's Corinne.
Oh, Corinne, I am so sorry. You let me call
It's okay.
you whole time. Okay.
No problem. So I am the new, if you will, special project manager for the city of South Fulton in the city manager's office. I come to city of South Fulton with 20 years of experience in project and event management, former festival director for House in the Park, and former program manager for the School of Film, Media, and Theater at Georgia State University, of which I am a proud alumni and or alumnus, the singular and not the plural. And I'm excited to be here. I am working on a special project, which is Wolf Creek, and trying to get that back online so that it can be the beacon of entertainment and cultural events for the city of South Fulton again. And now I yield and now for the Pines.
Good evening, everyone. I am Erica Pines. I do a lot of community engagement in various neighborhoods throughout the city of Atlanta and throughout the state. I am especially pleased to be here and have the councilwoman reach out to me to help with this engagement because I love Wolf Creek. It's like my favorite amphitheater in the state, and I would love to see it come back online. One of the things the councilwoman asked me to do is that we are intentional with the reopening and that we make this effort a community effort and something that the city of South Fulton can be proud of and hang your hats on. So I am here tonight. I will ask the councilwoman some questions. And as she mentioned, we'll go through the questions, a Q&A session first, so that we can get to some of the root of the items being discussed. And if you have additional questions, we will get to those in the chat. And we also have the survey out, which has been receiving a tremendous response. Want to say thank you for that, because the survey is not just a tool, it is something that we're going to use to be very intentional about how we engage going further. And thanks, pleasure to be here.
Awesome, awesome. So I am looking forward to some wonderful engagement. So I guess we can go ahead and get started. So Erica, let's get it going.
Okay. Council member, the first thing I want to ask you is, why is it important for you to reopen Wolfcreek?
Well, again, I've been getting so much chatter. Wolfcreek is in my backyard, and pretty much I remember years and years ago how I used to be able to just actually sit out on my deck and enjoy sounds and not really having to pay for it. But I really enjoyed Wolfcreek Amphitheater the times that I did go, and what I noticed is that a lot of the residents here in the city of South Fulton, especially in the Wolfcreek area, enjoyed it as well. And it's important for me because I think Wolfcreek has its own identity. And I think that people have memories and experiences at the Wolfcreek Amphitheater that, you just don't want to just let them go. So it's exciting to bring it back online for the city of South Fulton. And again, just kind of revigorating our community. It is something that's important to us. I do believe that it will also help us generate a name for us in the city of South Fulton, as well as, additional revenues. We noticed that a lot of the other amphitheaters that have opened have been doing extremely well, and we see the excitement behind that, and we want a piece of that as well. So praying that we can get to the point where we're ready to open Wolfcreek Amphitheater and get back to making memories.
Thank you. The question of the day, which we hear a lot in the community and in the region, because I think that Wolfcreek is actually a regional amphitheater. Mm-hmm. Who owns it? Who owns Wolfcreek?
So as of right now, the county still owns Wolfcreek. We are in the process of, fully completing negotiations, especially the county has some unresolved things that they have to take care of with EPA and their legal team. But we have a memorandum of understanding to where the city of South Fulton pretty much has full control of the amphitheater. So at this point in time, each year we're able to renew. So December 31st, we're able to renew the memorandum while we're going through the process of acquiring the location. But so it is still owned with the county, but we have full rights and activities for the Wolfcreek Amphitheater. So we have the keys. The county doesn't have the keys.
Ms. Smoot, did you want to add to that? Okay.
You're on mute.
Sorry about that. So, so in addition to the memo of understanding, we also have a use agreement. So as Councilwoman Gums stated, we have full rights of usage of the venue, as well as full rights of the ability to allow others to rent the space as well.
Okay, so we're talking about memorandums of understanding, use agreements, which means that you all have entered into, the city of South Fulton has entered into an agreement with Fulton County.
That is correct.
As the amphitheater sits, what is that costing the city of South Fulton while it sits and not being fully programmed? And then this is kind of like a two-part question. And then what are some of the gains once we can get it open and programmed again?
Oh, I can answer that. So right now, in terms of cost to the city of South Fulton, it only costs us the cost of maintenance of the grounds, so mowing the lawn essentially. But outside of that, there's no cost to us at present because, again, the facility is not in use. So it literally is a venue that can be just that, a revenue generator.
Council member.
And just as Corinne mentioned, it is definitely not in use right now, but we do see it as a revenue generating. facility for us, and we want to be able to take advantage of those opportunities, and it's additional income, for the city. Now, we did actually go through a repair assessment, and Ms. Smoot can actually share some of the updates on that, because of course there were some repairs that hadn't been done in quite a while. And they actually did a full assessment of the amphitheater. And I know we actually did a presentation at one of our work sessions that a lot of residents were able to kind of get a gauge of what was happening at the Wolfcreek Amphitheater. But we finally got the reports back, and Ms. Smoot can share some of the updates. And it's not as bad as I thought it would be. And it's also very doable for the city while we are in the process of reopening, in my opinion. So, Ms. Smoot, if you want to share the repair updates, you can.
Sure, no problem. So I liken the example of how we might not get our pedicures and things done during the cooler months, and then by the time spring comes, it's like, oh, I need to get my nails done. I need to get things up so I can wear my open-toed shoes. That's what Wolfcreek is. It's one of those things where it has not been used, it has not been in full use, and because it has been dormant, things like rust has settled in, moisture settling in some of the office spaces that are behind stage, normal wear and tear that comes with exposure to the elements. So think about the stage. There's nothing covering the stage. So you have exposure to wind and any other weather phenomena that might degrade the curtains on the stage, things of that nature. So those are some of the issues that we have to deal with in terms of maintenance and repair when it comes to the amphitheater. Outside of that, one of the key things that need to be addressed, and this is something that can be addressed over time, is repair of the parking lot. For those who may have gone to any county sponsored events, for instance, I believe this past spring, we had the graduation of various high schools. They had their graduation ceremony there. Those who attended those events may have noticed some crumbling and cracking of the parking lot asphalt. And that actually is about maybe 80% of the repairs that needs to be done in terms of the financial strain of this maintenance project is repairing the parking lot. But outside of that, the things that need to be fixed and repaired are doable. It's just normal wear and tear that comes with being exposed to the elements and just needing upgrades, because nothing's been done there for almost 12 years. There hasn't been any upgrades. So general maintenance, painting, replacing certain fixtures, but definitely doable, and definitely something that can be done in enough time to get Wolfcreek back online.
Thank you for those responses. In a recap of that, you mentioned that you're not paying the county for the space, but there is maintenance and repair costs. And then after these assessments, you've assessed that the parking lot and other areas need to be maintained because they've been exposed to elements without any use. As a woman, I want to make sure that you all get those bathrooms good. We know how bathrooms can look if they aren't used in a long time. So there are costs, even though there's no direct cost to the county, there are costs for city staff to go by and cut that grass, to maintain those facilities. So we are incurring costs every day, but as of right now, there is no revenue to offset those costs. Is that what we're hearing right now?
Yes. So at present, we have had smaller entities who have utilized the space for like 5K races. And it's just been like the parking lots, just having a start and end point to do a 5K race, just because of where Wolfcreek is located is ideal to do a race because of the fact that you can just kind of run in a circle and have a start and begin location. And it's in a, Wolfcreek is located in a beautiful neighborhood. It's, tree lined and, wooded area. So perfect and ideal for running. So, so we've had a couple of events in that regard, but nothing major in terms of any type of staged staging events that required any like audio visual. Also, I failed to mention that there is no audio visual equipment there. So just in case anyone was wondering, are people, climbing the fence and getting on the stage and having access to video footage, video equipment and things of that nature, it's a shell. There's no cameras. There's no dashboards. There's nothing there. So nothing for the residents to be concerned with of anything being stolen or broken into. There's nothing there at present.
And I see that we had Miss Angela James asking about the sound system. Miss James, if you haven't taken a survey, we encourage you to do that. If you would like to see improvements in the sound systems, or I guess Miss Smoot, are the vendors bringing their own AV with them when they come to Wolfcreek, or how is that handled?
That is the goal. In most cases, amphitheaters, generally when they have an event, there is a RFP, a request for a production company to come in and to provide those services. So we have and Fulton County has already upgraded and updated all of its electrical systems. So there is functional and updated electricity there. So It's one of those, it's a plug and play. So whoever comes in to do an event can plug in their systems and should be able to go.
Okay, so to all of you listening, if you have sound equipment type requests that you think should be included in those RFPs for those services, let us know. Okay, my next question is going back to the survey. We've received a good amount of responses from the survey. Thank you to everybody that has taken a survey and that is still circulating the survey around. Councilwoman, what are your key takeaways from the feedback that you've received so far?
I think the biggest key takeaway is that people are ready to have it open. They're just ready for concerts to begin back in the city in their own backyard. So that's the biggest takeaway. What I have heard again is the electronics, the jumbo systems. What kind of concerts will we be having? Certainly there is a thing about old school or, rap music, that kind of stuff. So those type of things are what people are looking for, but making sure that there's a balance of great concerts overall. I know something for everyone. I know we have some young people that live in our city. So of course, this is Atlanta. So some people will want to have some Atlanta legends come out, but then some people want to have some of the old school. So like the OJs, are they still, wait a minute, the OJs, I don't know if they're still around. Are they still around? I think so. But either way, some some of those people are like the Mary J. Bliges and things of that nature. So I would love to see that. But I want to make sure that residents understand that we're listening and taking their feedback into consideration. So as Miss Erica has stated, please make sure you're filling out that survey, because again, we'll compile these answers. We'll share them with Ms. Smoot while she's in the process of drafting the RFP. So she will be able to have the intellectual data to show this is what the residents are wanting in the city of South Fulton.
Thank you for that information. Also, Councilwoman, you mentioned, I know on the survey, you asked about other types of events or activations, something that could make Wolfcreek a community center that you don't always have to pay to experience Wolfcreek, and how it can be beneficial to the community. Will you kind of give your vision for that?
Well, again, this is something that we as taxpayers have definitely invested in. We do want this to be a community facility, and we also want to make sure that it's fair to everyone that actually use it. I believe Ms. Smoot has developed a process that is equitable. Certainly, I have done things at the Wolfcreek Amphitheater in the parking lot, such as our community yard sale. I do know there's voter engagement activities as well, but there's certain things that if you are interested in having just a smaller community event, you still have to have certain insurance requirements, making sure that certain things are covered. But the process is equitable from promoters all the way down to, just regular residents just wanting to host something for the community. So Ms. Smoot, if you wanted to share that, you can. the process. I'm looking at some of these questions. That's why I got a little startled, but we'll talk about those. So if you want to talk about the process versus community and smaller events versus promotions.
So we are in the process of having a fee schedule approved, and once that is finalized, then we'll be able to share that with the residents. But right now we're using the fee schedule, the fee structure that was set by Fulton County to utilize the space, and it's pretty much set up the same way in terms of having separate rates for residents and nonprofit and civic organizations, as well as commercial entities. So and then price differentiation between events that are held on the weekend versus those are held during the lesser impacted days, like during the week. So the fee structure in terms of that breakdown will be similar, but the cost will reflect will reflect the times that we're living in. In terms of the application process, it is going to be similar to that of any process of doing any type of community event. Filling it out, providing site plans so that we know what are the logistics associated with your event, and then having a review process by all of our public safety departments to make sure that your event will have a minimal impact to the surrounding community. So make sure that if you are interested in doing an event, that you have sussed out your processes and have budgeted being thorough with your marketing, because you want to make sure that you communicate with any impacted residents. So, communicating with the subdivisions that are in the area of the amphitheater, and just making sure that you have a robust marketing campaign so that you can be a good steward of the community that you're trying to do your event. But with all that being said, that is a part of the application process. And we're making sure that we have the guidelines clearly printed out so that you'll know what to do in the event that you want to do an event at Wolfcreek.
Great. And Ms. Smoot, can you talk about, I think I want to speak on behalf of the community with this. A lot of times when people apply for permits or licenses or permission to do something, will that process be clearly laid out and easy for folks to go through it?
Yes. So we are in the process now as a city making a transition to a different online platform for applications and the application process. It'll be an electronic process. Right now, our special events application is actually a PDF. So
Ooh.
we are right. So no more shuffling of paper. So we'll
Yes.
have it in place where everything can be uploaded, and the response time, the turnaround time will be much faster.
Electronic signatures.
Exactly. And then the workflow being an electronic workflow, so that once one process is done, the next step can easily be moved along, and the life cycle of the process will be all electronic. And payment for the permit will be accepted online as well. So wanting to streamline that process and make it a completely online and electronic process.
That's great information. Thank you. Council member, would you like to chime in on that?
Yeah, and I also wanted to kind of share a few things too. I know one of the things that we have been really talking about is that they want these sidewalks. One of the things about the concert, as you can see from past history, is that people used to walk on the side of the grass just in the right of way, and that used to drive me absolutely insane, because I would be so nervous about somebody coming by or getting struck by a car. So we're really pushing and working with Commissioner Arrington to get these sidewalks by the spring installed, so we don't have to have that, and some better lighting as well. So we're really pushing on that. I do know one thing that someone had asked, and one of their requests was the covered a covering for the amphitheater. And I did notice that that was taken into consideration with the repair report that came back as well. So again, some of these things will take time. I do know that we have a contingency fund for Wolfcreek Amphitheater. So there are things where we are able to pay for some of these items through our budget. I don't want, residents to think that we don't have any money, but we do have money available for Wolfcreek, the maintenance, and doing these repairs as contingency. So I did want to clear that up. There was a question from Ms. Anderson in reference to us having to spend $7,500 to $8,000 per month for maintenance. And I know that was one of the big things that kind of took me at. I forgot how many acres Wolfcreek Amphitheater is, but I know that was one of the, that's a heavy amount to pay monthly for maintenance. Do you think that's something that will change, Ms. Smoot, or go down? Or I don't know. I'm not sure.
Definitely. So that 7,500 to 8,000 is specifically for groundskeeping. It's for the actual mowing of the lawn. It's a contracted company that does the lawn care. The goal is moving that in-house. So right now it's a contracted company that's doing the lawn care, the maintenance of the and the upkeep of the grounds. But that will eventually be an in-house thing.
All right, awesome.
And I want to go back to another question that was asked about the cost estimates. When will we know after the assessment? I know you highlighted some things that were in that assessment that needed to be repaired. When will we know the total cost of that? And Councilwoman stated that the city is fully prepared to make those costs and repairs to get it online. But when will the public know what are the costs?
Well, I guess we can actually share the report now. The costs, the estimated costs are in that repair report. So it is available through open records, or I can actually share it with the public, but the costs are in there. Probably what we need to do as a council is prioritize. So we'll have to, get the subject matter experts, so such as Ms. Smoot, to share where exactly we need to start, focusing, so we can be ready by the spring at least to start being able to fully open. So we still have some assessments to do on our end as far as prioritizing, but I can fully share that report. That's not a problem.
Thank you. Also, will the city, Angela James asked, will the city have sponsorship opportunities, like key sponsors to help offset some of these costs?
I can tell you that's definitely a goal. So we're hoping that that is something that our cultural affairs department will actually reach out and start pushing sponsorships. We would love to have, the Coca-Colas or, the Bank of Americas or whoever. I don't want to sound biased, but just those people, the big corporations, to kind of help us get off the ground. So if anybody on this call, or if any of you executives that are on here, please know that there's an opportunity for sponsorship. So if you want to be the first one to do it, reach out to Ms. Smoot, and she'll connect you to the right people. I'm sorry to put you on the spot like that, but
no problem. And also to add to that, again, the goal and the end result of this session is to be able to have a RFP out for production management. And the hope and goal is that whoever gets the bid will come with those types of resources as well. So understand that sponsorship is something that does take time. It's about fostering and creating relationships, making sure that you can show the value of investing your time and resources into a particular thing, and in this case, in this venue, having events and showing a record of success that will allow for that entity who wants to make that investment know that this is an investment that's worth making. So those things, as Councilwoman Gums said, takes time, but definitely that is something that is needed, and I'm sure is going to happen.
Okay. And I'm just looking at some of the comments. Tanya wants to know, are adults going to be allowed to bring alcoholic beverages to some of these events?
Oh gosh, I'm pretty sure. I mean, as far as I know, I think we used to have a good time with the county, but we definitely have to talk with the chief about that. But I don't see a reason why not. I think some of our event processes have been looked at by our police department in regards to bring your own bottle or that type of thing. So it is in consideration, but yeah, we probably would love to have a good time, you know.
Okay. And I know a lot of amphitheaters, it's depending on the event. And then I know a lot, and it's important for everyone listening to know, sometimes you will have people that are performing that do not like that. They would specifically say, do not have people eat and drink and chit chat while I'm performing. So sometimes when you see those things that say no outside food and beverage allowed, or this would not be a table set up, it's not the venue. Oftentimes it's the performer that are requesting that.
That's true.
Just so we're clear. So don't call the council member and blow her up because you can't get a table and chit chat with your girlfriends, you know. So, all right.
Oh, and I'd like to add to that too, as both Erica and Councilwoman Gums mentioned previously, it's about engaging the community. So local businesses coming in and having food trucks there, so that in the event that we're not allowing outside food, but we have vendors there that will provide the food. I actually, perfect timing, had the meeting with the police department regarding liquor sales at amphitheater, and what was encouraged was that we partner with third party local businesses that already have liquor licenses, and they would have a permit to be able to sell liquor at the events, and you know, through a contract of some sort, making that happen. So that is definitely something that can happen. And
so if you can't bring it, we're going to have access to it.
If you can't bring it, we'll have access to it. Exactly.
Okay, thank you. And there's another question from Miss Phyllis about plumbing and repairs. And I think, Miss Smoot, you've already covered that. Who will pay for those repairs? Correct? That you all are doing an assessment. Okay, good deal. And someone, this isn't necessarily, I don't think, related to this project. They just wanted to throw this question in there. Is City of South Fulton going to be a golf cart community like Peachtree City?
So yes, that is something that we have been talking about for quite some time. I would love to see the Wolfcreek area and the surrounding subdivisions connected, where they can drive their golf carts to the Wolfcreek Amphitheater or to some surrounding community stores or events here. So that is something that we are looking into. We are, again, working with some of the developers that are coming to the area. So I envision that we will be a golf cart community very soon. So
I can see little micro economies popping up.
Yep.
And we have a question, and I don't know if you've gotten this far down the road, but there's a question about the limitations of events that can be hosted, as far as like farmers markets, community events, etc.
Well, we've considered that, again, there is, as Ms. Moot shared, a tiered approach, what will be available for nonprofits, also community organizers. There will be a certain tier events that can happen at the amphitheater, and tiered costs that's associated with that. So I have been approached about having farmers markets. I think that's an excellent idea. Again, that is what, this amphitheater was built for, was to bring people together. So I do see, farmers markets, I see community yard sales. I also see just a lot of, children activity, but it as a place to gather and enjoy our community. So for me, all of those things are available. But certainly, certain things we will have to evaluate, such as events that are partisan, because of course we want to make sure that we don't offend everyone in the community or other people in the community. So we have to be very strategic and diligent about making sure that we have events that reflect our entire community. So I hope I said that correctly. But that's where we're going to be with that.
Okay, thank you for that answer. We also, for everyone viewing, I don't think anything has been set in stone yet. It's been a fact-finding mission to find out what repairs are needed and then what type of services the community wants. I see a question about IT services. I don't know if that has been fully explored as of this moment, but we will note that a request for live streaming is available. Is that correct?
As far as concert wise,
I don't know if the concert promoters will want their concerts live streamed, but for other events, let's take into consideration that comment in question.
Okay.
Yes. And then Phyllis is asking about an application. I don't think there's an application available at this moment, or is there, Ms. Smoot?
Yeah, so at present, the application to use the space in its current condition is a special events application. Again, it's the hard copy version. It's the same special events application that is currently housed through community development. So the community development department with the city is the steward of all special events applications, and those who are wanting to use the space in its current condition would use that application currently.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, Ms. Smoot, Tanya Anderson is stating that Commissioner Arrington stated that concerts are usually contracted in the fall for the following spring. Is it realistic that Wolfcreek will be open by spring?
I can't predict the future, but the repairs that we are looking to do in the immediate are repairs that would allow for that venue to be utilized for the purposes of concerts by the warmer months. Again, a RFP has to be put out for production management. So depending on who gets the bid and who can actually do talent acquisition and actually pull together an event, that depends on them if they can pull that together. So a lot of these things, people have to realize that you have facilities operation and then you have production management. These two are completely separate in terms of managing the facility and getting it to a place where it could sustain and support events. And then the actual person who's doing the events, the promotion, the marketing, the booking, the ticketing. And those are two separate things. So you essentially would have two RFPs out there of someone to do this, provide the services to get things up and running, and then someone to actually utilize the space once it's up and running. So it is quite possibly, possible that all these things can happen, and that is the goal. That is the goal.
Thank you. And that kind of answers Yvette's question about next summer. Yvette, I know you're just joining, but we just spoke to the things that need to occur as a possibility to get it open by next spring. So depending on how those tasks are handled would depend on how quick we can get it up and running.
Yeah, I know Yvette and her husband are real big concert goers, so I know they're ready. They're ready.
Okay, and someone wants a little elaboration on the sidewalks. They mentioned Enon Road were already part of the city's plan. Can you elaborate on what Commissioner Arrington has to do with those things?
So yes, the sidewalks were already part of a part of the Wolfcreek Amphitheater. Just recently, Commissioner Arrington was able to have the sidewalks that will go all the way to Merck Road to help with the traffic of walking to the amphitheater. So that is something that he had talked to the residents about, and also committed that he will make sure that we get that done. So the extension of the sidewalk. So we're really pushing to try to get that done as soon as possible. Just hope to, okay. So Eric, I don't know if you want to get that question.
Let me see. Okay, just hope to avoid the some roadblocks we've seen to experience with the amphitheater as it relates to collaborating. My understanding is that the collaboration is already happening. Council member, would you like to expound upon that?
So certainly, I mean, as far as sidewalks and making sure that we're getting the things that are due to us, that is already in place. But we have, full authority as of right now over the amphitheater, as we talked about earlier, the user agreement and also the memorandum of understanding. So we have complete control as of this time of what we want to do with the amphitheater. So we will definitely, collaborate with the county, but they will have to come to us if they are interested in hosting an event. And of course, we want to be a fair partner in that. So again, we're doing what we are following the procedures by those agreements that we are held to.
Thank you. Am I right to assume that most elected officials, if not all, that are involved in South Fulton are kind of anxious and on board with reopening the amphitheater?
Oh, definitely. We are all on the same page, trying to get this Wolfcreek Amphitheater open. So you will see a robust push behind trying to make sure that this theater is open and servicing the public in the spring. Again, we want to see, we all have the same vision of seeing that amphitheater open and enjoying, concerts and events. And again, it being a place for our community to gather.
Okay. And I see a question from Nikki about traffic control. Thank you, Nikki, for answering that question. Asking that question. She made the comment that the streets are already narrow and want on most of the lanes. So there's been a lot of frustration with the traffic. Are you looking at a traffic plan? And I'm just adding this to your question, Nikki. Are you looking at a traffic plan that would make entering and leaving as smooth as possible with as few delays as possible?
So Ms. Smoot can probably elaborate on this towards my response, but any promoter or whoever will be conducting the promoter events will make sure that they have a traffic plan. It has to go through a process that's approved through our police department. They will have to either have security or paid security or have paid officers directing traffic. So there is a process that any of promoter will have to go through, and traffic is a very big thing. So we do have our police department that will have to sign off or approve any traffic plan that is promoted through the promotion for Wolfcreek Amphitheater. Same thing that we have to do for any of the races that come to the area. Our police chief has to sign off on any traffic plan or any roadblocks or anything of that nature. So there is a process that we have taken in consideration to assure that, we're not stuck in our homes. The traffic can be annoying, but the plan is definitely to make sure that it is least impactful to our day-to-day lives as possible. So I don't know, Ms. Smoot, if you wanted to add to that.
Just to reiterate that the application process for special events requires that those who are wanting to rent the space provide a plan. And a part of that plan is what your traffic plan is going to be. What is your security plan? Once that is submitted, the fire department, the police department, they review all of that. They make modifications to that. They make suggestions. Depending on the size of the event will determine how many officers will be in place. So all those things are a part of the life cycle of the application process. Also, as I stated before, it's very important that those who are putting on the event and wanting to use the space do a robust campaign of marketing what they're doing, when they're doing it, to the surrounding impacted community. So that way the residents in the area will know well enough in advance so that they can make any type of adjustments to their travel and their routes that they take in and out of their residence. So it's a situation where there needs to be communication and collaboration between the community and those who are going to be utilizing the venue.
Thank you, Ms. Smoot. I've seen in other jurisdictions where that notice is a requirement for an event.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's something you all could consider, that proof of notifying the community of excess traffic during an event is part of the process. Also,
and we do that now, and we do that now, especially when it's race season and when there are races that are coming. So we do notify the HOA presidents for them to send that out to their neighbors. So if your HOA information is not updated, I do encourage you to update that with the city as well, because we do make sure that we notify.
And also, Ms. Smoot, I'm just going to add my things in here, just having dealt with special events permitting in the past. If a traffic plan doesn't work, let's just say we have a traffic plan, it looks great on paper, and the day of, all you see is red lights because everybody has their brakes on, waiting to inch up in the line. Will you have that communication with the police if they saw something that kind of didn't go smoothly to make the proper adjustments moving forward?
Yes, we've actually had some feedback, some good and some not so favorable, of some of the past events for the some of the 5Ks, and just going back and just reevaluating how to best mitigate traffic coming in and out of specifically like subdivisions like the Wellesley's, that's literally right up the street on Merck. The officers have actually had meetings where they've talked about, what should be the best practice moving forward for any future events. So please know, all residents that are in the area know that your requests and recommendations and comments have not fallen on deaf ears. The police, they know, and they are actively working on coming up with plans and coming up with ideas on how to mitigate traffic for even larger events.
Thank you. And I want to go to Wayne Bullock's comment about allowing the space for use for local film projects to highlight films that are being produced locally. They do call us the Hollywood of the South. So how can Wolfcreek be integrated as part of that?
Do you want me to take that, or?
Either one.
Well, Ms. Smoot, you can add to this, but I definitely think that is an excellent idea. We do have, filming permits that you can get from the city. So we would love for that to happen here, especially at Wolfcreek Amphitheater, because if you look at it, it's a beautiful venue. Once you get inside, and it's just gorgeous. So I definitely think that is something that we should do. So if you have any insight on that, Mr. Bullock, please share. And if there's a contact person that the city needs to get in contact with, please share that as well, and we will do that. I think that's an excellent idea.
Thank you so much. And Miss Deloria Pride Chubbs says she must be late to the party because she thought Wolfcreek was going to be a town hall.
So Wolfcreek, we never said that we were going to do away with the amphitheater. The amphitheater was always going to be there. We were planning to have the town center there. Certainly some things have slowed down with the change in leadership, especially with our new economics development director on board. But there are still talks of the town center being at the Wolfcreek amphitheater. So please don't, I don't want people to walk away from this and say, oh, the town center is not coming. No, the conversations are still there. But while we're going through this process with the county, we have to be very mindful of what we decide to do there. And so we need full transition. I guess that's a better way of saying it. So hold tight, Ms. Chubbs, we'll get it.
Great. So town center information coming soon. Okay. Any other? I think we pretty much covered most of the questions. Anything else, council member and Ms. Smoot, that you want to close out with, that you want people to know?
I would like to address that. There was a comment that asked what repairs or things that need to be done at Wolfcreek that would warrant it not being able to open. One of the things that I do want to say, and again, full transparency, and the report, is available and can be requested via open records. There's issue of mold. So do know that the amphitheater, there's a stage, but there are a bunch of rooms and offices that are backstage. So you want to make sure that when you operate, you want to operate in excellence. So if you're wanting world-class artists and performances, you don't want them in a green room that has mildew or mold. Again, natural phenomena of it not being utilized. So over the years that it has been dormant in areas of the space that have not been utilized, there's been a lot of settling. So carpets need to be removed, moisture remediation has to be done. So those types of things have to be taken care of so that when we do have world-class performances and artists coming in, that the facilities that they are in, aren't a health hazard. So those things have to be addressed in order to be able to operate in excellence.
Absolutely. Okay.
Thank you. Councilwoman, would you like to give us some closing remarks?
So first of all, I do want to thank all of the residents that have joined us tonight and all of the residents that have emailed and shared their feedbacks and thoughts and have completed a survey. I think, as I shared before, this is something that is going to require all of us. I want that when we begin to open Wolfcreek, that the ideas, the comments, and everything that we have experienced since living here with Wolfcreek being open, that we share the good, the bad, and the ugly, so we can make it a very good experience. We want people to be able to come to our city and enjoy themselves and have, those memories or the best experience. So that was the purpose of today. You still have time to weigh in with your feedback. So if you have completed a survey, please share it with your neighbor or your HOA, because again, this information is being compiled. It will be shared with Ms. Smoot. So when we're going through that process of getting the RFP drafted, we're using the feedback from the residents to, again, show what it is that we want within our amphitheater. And also, too, the feedback is important, because this is how we, as Ms. Smoot mentioned, serve in excellence. So again, we want a worldwide amphitheater that's best in class, and I believe that we can have it. So for me, that's the important part, getting this off the ground and getting Wolfcreek Amphitheater open. So for me, again, we'll have more of these engagement meetings if needed, but we want to continue to have the dialogue about Wolfcreek Amphitheater, and I want you all to tune in to anything that's on our website, especially if an RFP is being dropped and of good companies, production companies, or management companies. Please make sure you share that information as well. I will send out the report for the repairs. If you send me an email or request it, I don't mind doing that. I will definitely share it with you all, so you can see exactly what it is that we are up against. But like I said early on in my conversations, it's doable. So I think that we're in a good place, because I was very, very nervous when the report came back, because I was like, oh God, are we even going to be able to do it? But for the sake of God, He is wonderful, that it was doable. And I think this will definitely be a beacon for the city if we can get it open. So again, continue the engagement. And I thank everybody for joining. And you'll see more of us. And again, Erica, I brought her on board to continue the community engagement with our residents surrounding Wolfcreek Amphitheater. And we'll continue to do this when necessary. But if you have any questions, you all know where to find me Also, too, don't hesitate to reach out to Miss Smoot as well. I don't want you all bombarding her email, but please, reach out to her if you have questions about Wolf Creek Amphitheater and the application process. I want to thank you ladies for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to the spring. Thank you so much. And I guess good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.